So the assumption is that the Indiana Fever have one more roster cut to make. When you look at the salary cap and the players that are under contract, the space there is not enough for them to roster 12 players as is. So barring a technicality or an unexpected maneuver, the Fever are going to have to cut somebody else and go into the season with 11. Presumably, that brings us to a competition between Makayla Timpson and Jaelyn Brown. Timpson, as a rookie, when she was drafted, they raved about her. They've raved about her since. So it's hard to come to grips with the idea that she could possibly even be on the chopping block, and I don't think she is. But if we're working under this theory, and they're the two that are most vulnerable, she's in this equation. The other is Jaelyn Brown, who doesn't come with as much notoriety or fan attachment necessarily, but clearly is liked by the team, clearly is, valued by head coach Stephanie White, and also fills a different sort of need from a big guard versatility standpoint. Now, there's perhaps, an unexpected move. I've seen the school of thought, though, that if the Fever want to continue to be players in free agency, you don't sign somebody in free agency and then cut them. The two most vulnerable players that would fit that description would be Brianna Turner, who would be a little bit redundant with Timpson, and Sydney Colson, who obviously is another guard on the team. But I am working under the premise that final roster spot battle is between the rookie and Brown. And when you hear Stephanie White speak about Timpson in the future tense, it's hard to believe that there's a chance that Timpson could be out the door.
Her greatest growth is in front of her. She's long, she's athletic, she's got great hands, she's got soft touch. She improved every year. She's coachable. She's played various roles throughout her entire career, so she's used to that. Our team is deep. There are going to be times where she might be in the rotation. There are going to be times where she might not. But her ability to stay ready, her ability to work, to continue to get better. I mean, we call her Baby Tosh. I think the sky's the limit for her.
Those are telling comments from Stephanie White, right? Telling comments in the sense of she's going to be in the rotation sometimes and not in the rotation other times, which is how someone speaks if they think somebody's going to be a part of the team. That was before the game against the Atlanta Dream. The two players in question both played in the fringe player minutes in that game. Later in the second half, I saw Sue Bird talking earlier this week and saying if you're playing in the second half of preseason games, it means you're on the chopping block. That's not when you want to get in. Now, Timpson was in with the starters or the main rotation against Brazil. But nonetheless, they've also clearly wanted to give Jaelyn Brown a shot, and she's stuck around for a long time for a reason. And after the game, Stephanie White was asked pretty much directly about the competition between those two. She was asked about them two, not in competition for the final roster spot, but evaluating the two, which the implication would be what I'm saying here.
How do you assess KK and Jaelyn just recently?
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, certainly, KK's ability to come in and impact from that post position. She doesn't try to force things. She allows things to come to her. She plays with great pace as a young player. And oftentimes you'll see young players play too fast. She's poised and she's ready when her number's called. And JB too. I mean, JB is dynamic. She's athletic. She has a great ability to get downhill. She and Kelsey are really deadly in that mid range. She's a great rebounding guard. So it's a tough job to have to compare those two because they just bring such different aspects to our team and to our game.
Which is a good answer, and you understand it. Now, the fact that you go KK first, right, and then also JB, I think the implication again there is that Brown is the vulnerable one, or the one who is likely, I would say, to be cut from the roster. But when I say that, it is not an easy decision. You could tell it won't come easy, begrudgingly. I guess is the word I would use. Every coach is going to say they want to keep everybody and blah blah blah, and to a certain extent that is true. But a coach, likes certain players more than others, and you can tell Stephanie White has an affinity for Jaelyn Brown, who in this game had 5 points in 11 minutes, 2 of 3 from the floor. Certainly not afraid. You can see, she plays with a level of energy, and she is different than really anybody on the roster from a physical standpoint. 6'1", 170, or at least in the backcourt. She's more the size of Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham than Caitlin Clark or Kelsey Mitchell. As far as things size up, big guard. I mean, Caitlin's 6 feet tall too, but you know what I mean. I mean, somebody that could be a physical presence on the perimeter and also gives them a little bit of pop offensively. While you're talking about in the form of Timpson, a rim runner, a rim protector. The difference is Timpson has innate athletic ability and physical ability with her wingspan that is not easily replicated. But for as much as Fever fans have, I think, been joking about, Jaelyn Brown being jettisoned, I don't think that's a decision that is going to be taken lightly by the front office. And I think they will do whatever maneuvering they can to keep her as part of the plans for this team long term, if I had to guess. Now, they're going to give her every opportunity if they do cut her to go somewhere else. They're not going to, hurt her career. But prorated contracts, injuries, other things that would allow them to bring somebody else in, if they had the salary cap space, there's no question this would be the 12. Well, I mean, they've already told us that, right? They've already told us that through the moves that they've made. But Stephanie White also kind of told us that Timpson is going to be a part of the future plans by the way she spoke about her. Now, none of this stuff is set in stone until that final roster is set. And they've got almost still, a few more days. The deadline is coming up, but before they play the regular season, they've got a deadline to make the final roster decision there. But in the meantime, it's not something, I think it's already essentially decided, but they're not going to make that move, I don't believe, until they have to. And they're going to make that move. It's going to be difficult for them, even if they've already determined what it is what I'm saying. And a roster spot battle like this, it's tough to see anybody lose out on it, especially when it appears to me that Brown has earned a roster spot. There just may not be one available for her to occupy.